Hey everyone, Nemo60 here again. I'm just making an audio follow-up to my previous video concerning the article about a naturist resort being sued for not allowing children. Now, I must freely admit that I only had that very article to base on, and it wasn't very well sourced, so I most likely got a few bits of information wrong. However, all Nudist, I can't remember if I referred to them or if I, in the last video, if I did or did not, but they run a website which had some great information on nudist and naturist material, and they did a very long, follow-up kind of comment on the very subject, which has a lot more informed opinion than I do. And so I thought I'd just kind of actually read you this and make this into an extra video, just as a kind of a follow-on from, my last one. Basically just to clear up information and give a different perspective on it, which I feel you may find interesting. Anyway. It's entitled Response to a Naked Grab for Money by Ashley Powers from the LA Times. As this article clearly states, the Youngs made a business decision based on what they felt suited their needs. The legality of this decision is what is being decided here, not the legality or morality of children being present at clothing optional facilities. Desert Sun is not and was not a nudist/naturist facility. It is a private clothing optional luxury resort. As such, comparisons with the nudist community are as whole invalid. Their affiliation with the American Association for Nude Recreation, or the AANR, means only they choose to affiliate with the organisation, not that they were necessarily nudists. Scarlett correctly pointed out that the family naturism, as well as has long and healthy history, with generations worldwide partaking in a wholesome lifestyle without ill effects. The industry referred to practice that, an industry related to but not necessarily sharing the philosophy of the nudist/naturist lifestyle. The individual venues are free to make a decision as to whether they welcome children or not, or whatever reason they deem valid. Haven't we all at some point or another wanted a weekend away from our kids? Folks who enjoy social nudism are no different in that regard, plus not everyone who likes a weekend in the nude should be considered a nudist simply because of that fact. An occasional skinny dip does not a nudist make. Nudism is a philosophy. Most folks don't know that. Nudists believe in a family-safe environment which includes all ages that has raised red flags over its particular issue. It shouldn't have, as there are many venues which offer the same break for parenting or being around other people's kids, which definitely do not cater to the swinging crowd or anathema to the nudist community. The ruckus raised because of the terminology the Youngs use to defend their decision. Nudists are quite rightly concerned when anyone suggested that nudism and naturism is dangerous for children or anyone who participates. There is indeed a risk that someone with an ulterior motive could infiltrate a nudist venue, but as there is any circumstances where children are present. Clubs and resorts are making every effort to eliminate this potential threat from non-nudists through backdoor checks, camera and cell phone bans, and even on-site security cameras. We are all well aware that there are unpleasant people out there, and we want to protect our children from them just as much as anyone. However, they are not going to give up a healthy lifestyle out of fear. Instead, we are confronting the problem. The reality is that the nudist community as a whole is already a safer environment in the outside world and we want to keep it that way. We are a close-knit group of sharing a common philosophy and morality, if anything, more prudential, whatever the word is, than is found in the general population. We have strict rules of behaviour which we willingly follow since we actually believe in them. This is very difficult for non-nudists to understand, since they are used to conforming to certain behaviours for religious or legal reasons, not because they truly wish to. Big difference. Remember, we live in a textile world and we all know it well. You do not know ours. The question of the property of children being present at nudist gatherings is something best addressed by those with greater understanding of nudism/naturism than the general public possess. Without facts, history, philosophy, or preferably the same personal experiences in the subject, it is impossible for the nudist/naturist to evaluate the safety, morality, or wholesomeness of the social nudist lifestyle. This is not something that can be legitimately discussed from a position of ignorance, as some of the previous comments confirm. We invite those interested to keep an open mind and truly gaining some understanding of what they are discussing, short of personal visit to a nudist facility, to visit our website, allnudist.com, for an introduction to social nudism lifestyle, warts and all. We created the site years ago for the specific purpose of providing legitimate information to those interested in nudism, but who instead have found a flood of misinformation and pornography on the internet. We will tell the true story, including the parts of the nudist community which wasn't there. We think that you will learn that even a few blemishes, social nudism isn't the monster that some would make it out to be. Learn about it, make your own decision. Nudity is close connection with sex in our society's mind, and the fact that nudists are indeed able to separate these two is something which non-nudists simply cannot understand. We live in a world endued with sexual imagery which associates anything related to nudity with sexuality or the sale of shampoo. Nudists are simply the lucky ones who have found their life simpler and a whole lot more fun without clothes, without the unnecessary connections between the simple social nudity and sexuality. The Desert Sun issue has indeed ignited spirited discussions among the nudist community, which perhaps is long overdue. Our national organisations are reluctant to discuss the problems out of a legitimate concern over possible adverse publicity about the industry they promote, and because of its tendency to blow things out of proportion, especially when nudity is concerned. The statements made by some of the folks who commented are prime examples of the knee-jerk reaction to be expected whenever the subject of kids and nudity comes up. They are based on preconceptions and prejudice, not knowledge. The ability of those who enjoy clothes-free recreation to partake of the activity is directly related to public opinion and how it affects legislation. For that reason, nudists have traditionally kept a low profile, lest public ire or religious favour deprive them of places to be socially nude. This has the unfortunate side effect of creating a sense of mystery and secrecy which prevents the public from knowing what really happens behind those fences, which is nothing, and fuels unwarranted speculation. Organisations such as the AANR and the Naturist Society work to dispel these illusions that are hampered by the limited funds and reluctance of the general public to see nudism as anything other than an excuse for debauchery. Nudists are a vulnerable minority and are not many in the greater textile community, and are willing to stand up from the publicly, since the public's inevitable association of nudity with sexuality makes the political dynamite. This is still a stigma attached to social nudism which the few in the public eye wish to associate with. Cases like that of the Youngs bring us into public limelight that strikes fear into everyone involved. Should public opinion be swayed on by this isolated event, which really has nothing to do with social nudism, the repercussions could be felt throughout the entire community. The silence of the National Association is evidence of treacherous ground upon which we walk. Any statement can be misunderstood to suit the needs of those who would see nudists relegated to the status of child molesters that would unfairly besmirch the community which subscribes to the highest standards of decency and family values. Whatever the outcome of the Desert Sun dispute, it should not be confused with the reality of life in social nudist community. It is the business of one location dealing with one community's laws. It does not represent nudism in the general nor behaviour or the activities at traditional nudist venues. That should be the main point made here. The Youngs and Desert Sun stand alone in legal entity, not as representatives of the nudist community. Incidentally, there appears to be nothing in the article relating to the title alleged that someone is in dispute simply from the money, not the ability to bring kids to the resort. There is also nothing about similar actions taken against other local resorts or what accommodations were made in those cases. Nor is it mentioned that the Youngs changed reasons for banning kids midway though. The article is overall very sympathetic to the Youngs and leaves many questions unanswered. Perhaps the most interesting thing is that none of this commenting discussed these things, instead focus on children and nudity. Just thought we'd mention that. Now, the only thing I would like to add before I actually finish this reading is that I do honestly believe that many textiles do fully understand and are aware of the ins and outs of social nudism through friends of their own. I'm sure that there are many textiles among us, including my own friends, who know nudists and understand that it is not a sexual or, any sort of deviant or debaucherous behaviour. Just because they do not desire or feel comfortable with including themselves within the particular way of expressing the philosophy does not mean that they cannot hold the philosophy themselves. I'm sure that many amongst us would perfectly agree about all the body image issues that we face today, and that generally accepting of our body image without pandering to social media is a generally good thing. Even though we may not, perhaps express it through being naked ourselves in a social environment, as the way of the nudist suggests that it is the best way to do so, we still share the same sentiments and still share an equal desire to promote a healthy body image and destigmatization of the human body. It varies between person to person, of course, and a lot of people may wrongly, in my personal opinion, think it's okay for nudists to be adults, but not for children. Even if they do not see it as a sexual or any sort of debaucherous thing. I just thought I'd add that little amendum there, and I hope you found this interesting. This is Netmo060, and I wish you all safe travels.